Almost 20 years behind bars for a homicide he did not commit. Good evening, I'm Joyce Peterson.
And I'm Joy Redmond. Shelby County DA Steve Mulroy says Andrew Hayes was wrongfully convicted in a brutal 2007 death. Action News 5's Michaela Redmond live now with details on who Michaela is now facing charges for the crime.
Yeah, Action News 5 was at the scene the day that Harris's body was found back in 2007. Residents were scared and law enforcement described the scene as gruesome. It turns out the other woman convicted for the homicide, Tammy Vance, had helped committing the crime from her daughter. Chopper 5 high in the sky back in 2007. Shelby County Sheriff's deputies serving an eviction notice found a crime scene instead.
The victim was in advanced stages of decomposition.
Memphis police officers described the scene as gruesome, with evidence of a struggle.
Concern. Something like this happens right across the street from you. Kind of scares you a little bit.
The victim, identified as 55-year-old Danny Harris, and died from blunt force trauma to the head. A short time later, Andrew Hayes was arrested and then convicted as an accomplice to the murder. A murder that Tammy Vance, the victim's girlfriend, already admitted to. But 15 years later, new evidence was found.
Andrew Hayes was wrongfully convicted of that murder.
Mulroy says the person who really did assist Vance was Sarah Lucas Rydell, Vance's daughter. He says charges have been filed.
Agents of our office went to Oklahoma, where she currently resides, placed her under arrest, and our office is now actively pursuing her extradition
for trial. Mulroy would not share details about the new evidence. The Innocence Project, representing Hayes, sent me this document filed January 6th. It states the new evidence is Sarah Lucas Rydell confessing to helping her mother. She admitted that only she and her mother were in Harris's apartment, that she saw her mother hit Harris repeatedly with a hammer, that she helped her mother by holding him down during the attack with a pillow, that she vomited on the bathroom floor and they attempted to clean up the crime scene, and that she knows Andrew Hayes is innocent.
Wrongful, false confession. It was the product of a 27-hour interrogation of a person who was intellectually disabled, whose IQ was below 70.
Mulroy says there were inconsistencies in Hayes' confession, with details not matching evidence at the crime scene. Mulroy says it could take years for Hayes to be released. As for Rydell, they hope to have her back in Shelby County by the end of February, the latest. Reporting live at 201 Poplar, Michaela Redmond, Action News 5.